Welcome to your weekly inspiration. I'm Joey Sampaga.
And I'm Kathy Beckman.
How are you, Kathy?
Well, not as inspired as I usually am, or maybe I am a little fired up.
Yeah, Kathy and I were talking off camera here about a couple of things that were happening in our lives, and it kind of brought our, I don't want to say spirits down, but
it's much more serious.
Yes.
And I had written something for this week, and while I still do really want to share it, the conversation that you and I had is much more important. And I thought, since we were in this space, and instead of trying to force what I had written, I thought it much more authentic if we talk about.
Yes, and I don't want to go into the details. However, there's a situation that happened in my family where the outcome was not favorable for us. And it was one of those things where we kind of questioned, not so much our faith, okay? Right. We're talking about faith here. I never questioned my faith, but what I did was I questioned God. Mm-hmm. Okay, why this particular situation is happening, or situations were happening in my life.
Which in and of itself I thought was a big deal.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that we had said. Mm-hmm. You know, when you get to when you're involved in something that's so traumatic, some people grasp onto their faith,
yes,
and some people
push it away. Absolutely.
Right? And so kudos to you. That shows a lot about your character,
yes,
that you grabbed on.
Yes, and you know, think about it. Think about it for yourselves. If you were in a really bad situation, do you run to your faith, or do you run away from your faith? And if you're the type of person to run away from your faith, was it truly faith? Was it a true faith that...
yeah, what are you running away from?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where... What were we saying earlier about faith?
We were saying a lot of things.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'd like to talk about, too, that you mentioned was that when things happen, you kept your belief that everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And that God, the Lord, Source, whatever name you want to put on it, it knows, He knows the reasoning for it.
Yes, and it happens for a reason. And sometimes you'll say a prayer, or you meditate, and you're wishing for something to happen, right? And you're thinking, this is how it should happen. Right. But God, being the mystery that He is, will make it happen this way. Right. Okay, it'll still end up the same result that you've been praying for or meditating on.
Or perhaps not.
But it happens differently, and sometimes it can seem really, really tragic for us, but when it comes to the end result, it's actually a good thing.
Right. And I think if we look in our past and we look at tragedies that we've each gone through, and it's human nature to go, okay, really?
Yeah.
What can be the positive that comes out of this?
Sure.
But and I know, at least in my personal life, if I look back, even the worst things that have happened, if I take enough time to wait, or take enough time to really analyze it, it's always ended up in a real positive. And one of the things that we were talking about is that sometimes it seems like the worse the tragedy, the longer the period of time you have to wait to see what that test or
absolutely. And you know, I one thing I can share is I have a friend who's dying of cancer, and I visit him on a regular basis, and he has really, really strong faith. And one of the things that I've never been through this, okay, and I have friends who've really comforted me, you being one of them, telling me about how to handle that and just to be there, right? And so I'm doing that as a friend, to be there, and I know that he really, really appreciates it, okay? And one of the things that's comforting about it is that he is very faithful, and there's hope, and I can see it in his eyes, and I can hear it in his voice. And so that makes me feel, as a friend, like a relief. Even though it's still tragic, it's still a relief knowing that he's okay with dying, that he's ready to go to where he's...
The Maker.
Yeah, the Maker. Or he's going to be new again.
Yep.
Right? And so knowing that makes me feel better, but being a man, a human, we have those things of, gosh, why is God taking my good friend away?
Yep.
Right? And so, but when I look at it, it's like, well, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about what's going to happen at the end. We know the end of the story because we've read it. Right? So why feel extremely bad? I mean, we can celebrate. We can be sad that our friend is leaving us, but at the same time, we need to celebrate knowing that he's going to be there happy.
Yes.
With the Maker.
Yeah. And as you know, I lost my mom to cancer.
Yes. And
went through the same feelings, like, why me?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, here I go. Shit. But in retrospect, for my mom, it was the perfect time because she was done.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot about myself through
mm-hmm.
it, and it gives me a lot of solace knowing that she's in a better place.
Yes.
She went through a lot in her time here, and she did enough. So for me, I mean, while it was really, God, heart-wrenching, clearly even still now,
mm-hmm.
Knowing that she's in a better place helps. So, and we went through the same thing where my mom was okay with it,
mm-hmm.
And my mom and I were so close through her entire life that when we got the final news that she had 2 weeks, most people go through the whole saying the last, wrapping things up or, saying the last things. And my mom, like I said, my mother and I always had a very close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
My mom had a great sense of humor. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, I think we're supposed to wrap things up here, but we've already said everything.
That's right.
So there was kind of like nothing else to I mean, my mom and I always do. We talked every single day on the phone after I left from Buffalo. So it was always,
mm-hmm.
very, very close. And I was thankful that I was at her bedside when she got the news.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that we kind of laughed about after the doctor came in and said 2 weeks, we're like, we've already said everything. I think we're supposed to be wrapping things. So it along the same lines, we the good news is that we didn't wait until that last day. Some people are taken from us through accidents or
mm-hmm.
heart attacks, and if that happens to someone,
mm-hmm.
have you wrapped things up?
Yes, exactly. So
got a little emotional. Sorry. Thank you.
So when you're going through a tragedy in your life,
okay.
Are you running to your faith or are you running away from your faith? And if you're running away, you need to find a different faith.
or ask why you're behaving
that way. Yeah. And that faith has to be strong because that's definitely what's going to comfort you through all this. I mean, you got your friends, you got your families, and it's...
But the only thing that's really going to be there for you through everything is what's in your heart.
That's right. That's right. So, until next week.
Have an inspired week. Bye.
Bye.